The 2024 season brought us more highlights than we could have ever imagined. From NASCAR's lowest divisions all the way up into the Cup Series, every series had its moment in the spotlight. Because of this, I wanted to share with the fans on this channel 10 of the most shocking moments that come out of the 2024 season. Whether it was a super close finish, an incident that no one saw coming, or even a scuffle on pit road, nothing is off the table in determining which moments dropped our mouths to the floor. So without further ado, here are 10 of the most shocking moments in the NASCAR 2024 season. Starting the list at number 10. Homestead Miami Speedway was known as the season finale race for almost 20 years at 18. Lots of people still believe that this move by NASCAR was a poor decision, as Phoenix Raceway hasn't really delivered the most exciting season finale races. In the third to last race of 2024, 7 drivers were doing everything they could to be there at the end. At first, it looked to be a battle between Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney coming to the white flag. That was until Tyler Reddick had the lap of his career.
This championship this year has given us some of the most incredible closing moments. You pick this one, Blaney, Reddick, or Hamlin. Reddick is not done with yet. Tyler Reddick just drives all the way around Ryan Blaney. Can you believe what you've just seen? Reddick's going to Phoenix. Tyler Reddick wins the Straight Talk 400 in the most incredible.
Tyler Reddick won the race to help him advance into the championship 4, proving to everyone that the regular series champion deserved to run for the championship and that maybe Homestead Miami Speedway should return as the season finale race. Number 9. Flips in NASCAR is nothing new in the sport, as we see it frequently at the restrictor plate tracks. The same can't be said about Michigan International Speedway, where we saw the Xfinity Series race end with Kyle Sieg going up and over on the back straightaway.
2 by 2 for fifth and a big wreck. The 88 gets caught up in Carson Kvapil. The caution comes out, that will end the race. Upside down and over, goes to 28. So Kyle Sieg back on his wheels.
Luckily, Kyle Sieg was alright from the incident, but people were still surprised to see something like this happen at the 2-mile racetrack. What makes it even crazier is that less than 24 hours later, another car would go up and over.
You got to be
Trouble on the back
calculated.
straightaway. Corey LaJoie upside down, slides his way towards the feet of Mike Bagley.
Right now the car does a barrel roll. He was on his roof. Now as he hits the grass, the car will roll over on all 4 wheels. Solo car incident. Safety crews immediately on the scene to tend to Corey LaJoie, who just went over on the backstretch here in Michigan.
Similar to the previous incident, Corey LaJoie was alright after the crash, marking the total number of blowovers to 2 in just 1 weekend, something the track hadn't seen in decades. At number 8, we have... Unfortunately, injuries did not shy away from the world of motorsports, as the 2024 season saw incidents involving drivers getting injured after being in a crash. However, the most shocking injury would come from after a race rather than during a race. At the Milwaukee Mile, Lane Riggs was able to capture his first victory in the Truck Series driving the number 38 truck for Front Row Motorsports. Lane Riggs was obviously super excited about the victory. Unfortunately, he might have gotten a little too excited.
For 22-year-old Lane, who when he was celebrating appeared to injure his shoulder. I've never seen that after a race. I mean, he is hurting.
Lane Riggs wound up dislocating his shoulder after pumping his fists too hard. Luckily, the team was able to pop it back into place, making it one of the most bizarre situations to happen while celebrating a victory. Number 7. After what looked to be a Hendrick playoff extravaganza, many were not shocked to see all 4 Hendrick drivers race their way into the round of 8 thanks to an impressive performance at the Charlotte Roval. This meant that Alex Bowman, driver of the number 48 car, was in by the slimmest of margins and Joey Logano was out. Joey was obviously deflated from the bad news and tried his best to be optimistic about it all. However, that would all change after a post-race inspection was done on the 48 car.
Unfortunately, when we were running the 48 through,
it didn't pass the minimum weight specs.
Bowman's car did not meet the minimum weight requirement according to officials. As such, Bowman was stripped of his 18th place finish and lost the points he accumulated. The deduction meant he failed to advance by 20 points, with Joey Logano moving back into the playoffs. Hendrick Motorsports didn't even try to appeal the penalty, even though it felt like there were some cases for the 48 car to advance. In the end, Joey Logano was reintroduced back into the playoffs for the round of 8 and made the most of it with a field strategy win at Las Vegas and a championship run in the season finale race at Phoenix, all thanks to a minimum weight requirement. Number 6. Upsets can often happen at the restrictor plate tracks of Talladega and Daytona. In the summer Daytona race, every driver was pushing it to the absolute limit as many teams believed that this was their final chance to make it into the NASCAR playoffs. With some drivers, fans can expect to be in the running, while others can be complete curveballs. However, no one was predicting the winner of the Coke Zero 400 in what has to be one of the biggest upsets in NASCAR playoff history.
Here comes Harrison Burton for the Wood Brothers. He's being pushed by Parker Retzlaff. And the 23-year-old from Huntersville, North Carolina is at the front of this field and may race his way into the playoffs. Bush goes low. Burton blocks. He gets back up. Comes to the line. Jeff, your little boy has done it. Harrison Burton wins in Daytona.
Running outside the top 30 in points, Harrison Burton erased his bad season with the most shocking upset in the 2024 season, locking himself into the playoffs and knocking out top stars such as Buescher, Chastain, and Kyle Busch. Harrison would be eliminated in the first round, but to say that he was able to win the 100th race for Wood Brothers Racing, along with making his dad so proud up in the booth, it was definitely a highlight to remember. Before we go any further, I'd like to take this time to thank some of our partners that came on with the Vanillawafer channel in 2024. The last couple of years have been absolutely amazing. However, this was the first time that partners actually came onto the channel to help me out, and I greatly appreciate it. And the least I can do is give them a quick shout out on a video that highlights the 2024 season. The first partner I need to thank is 6B Apparel. They're the ones who actually made my pit crew shirt, and they did an amazing job on it, and the least I can say to them is thank you guys so much. You're going to be seeing this shirt a lot in videos, and hopefully one day we are able to put these up for you guys so you guys can order in the future so you can be a part of Team Vanillawafer. 6B Apparel is located out in Las Vegas, and as a matter of fact, they actually do a lot more than just make pit crew shirts, as they also do other sports. So maybe for your baseball team, or maybe you have your own race team and you guys want to look a little bit cooler, more badass, make sure to check them out at 6bapparel.com. Who knows, they might be making your guys' designs in the near future. Also, a special thanks to RSS Racing, as they are the first ever Xfinity Series team where they've had my logo on their race car. Never thought ever that this logo would be on a NASCAR Xfinity car, but we were able to do it in the 2024 season at Iowa Speedway with Kyle Sieg and the number 28. Incredibly thankful for those guys. They're an amazing group of people, and I hope to continue their partnership with them in 2025. And then lastly, a special thanks to all of you fans who have stuck out with me since the very beginning. We have plenty more projects coming up here in 2025. We got new partners coming along the way, so I expect 2025 to be bigger and better than any of the years combined. But other than that, guys, let's get back to the video and look at the rest of the top 10 of the most shocking moments here in the 2024 season. Number 5. Going from the most feel-good moment to one of the saddest moments, we have the shocking announcement of Stewart-Haas Racing closing its doors. The two-time NASCAR championship team, with 70 Cup Series victories since its 2009 formation, decided that 2024 would be their last season as an organization. There were constant rumors about the team potentially selling a couple of their charters after some poor performances. However, no one expected the team to leave altogether. Luckily, they were able to collect one last victory at the Southern 500 before it was all said and done.
Throwing everything at Chase Briscoe he can. It's a win and you're in. And the 29-year-old from Mitchell, Indiana, Chase Briscoe wins the Southern 500 and is going to the playoffs.
Number 4. The reconfiguration at Atlanta Motor Speedway was met with mixed reviews by both the drivers and the fans. Although it's great to see more diversity between racetracks, there were still many who thought that changing the 1.5-mile racetrack into a tandem draft track was not a good idea. Although the reconfiguration has been around for the last couple of years, fans did not get that ultra-exciting finish that they were used to seeing at Talladega and Daytona. That was until the second race of the season, where Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney ran back to the line, providing us with this spectacular finish.
No help with Kyle Busch.
Oh, Suarez right alongside him, 3 wide. Off
Look at
turn
this.
4. Here they come to the flag. 3 abreast. Photo finish.
How about, I think it's Blaney. Unbelievable. 3 wide finish. Have you ever seen anything like that?
NASCAR reviewer.
99, 12 in the 8. Race clear is the 99.
How about that?
At first, Daniel Suarez hoped but wasn't certain that he was the winner after the closest finish ever at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The photo finish showed that Suarez edged Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch in a 3-wide blur at the line to win. It was Suarez's second career win in 253 Cup races, and a moment that set off a celebration for the Mexico native. Number 3. There could be 2 races that could win the title for the most controversial race in 2024. Many were shocked with the incidents that happened in the closing laps of the Martinsville race, as it felt like everyone cheated one way or another. However, the one race I found more shocking was the race that happened at Richmond in the summer, where Austin Dillon threw racing ethics to the side and did everything he could to win the race.
Final time, there's the contact. He does get to him. The 11 on the inside. He gets into the wall. Dillon's going to win it at the line.
Austin Dillon was considered the winner from the race, but many people knew that the race was permanently tainted in controversy. With 2 purposeful wrecks and a family almost being clipped on pit road, many were shocked at how the finish of the race went down. In the end, Austin Dillon would have his playoff spot stripped and would miss out on running in the playoffs, proving to everyone that a win and get in does have its limits. Number 2. North Wilkesboro Speedway could be on the list for 2 separate situations. The first being the massive rainstorm that came to the track at the All-Star weekend that left the track 5 inches covered in rain. Although this bizarre flooding was definitely shocking, an incident that happened during the All-Star race takes the cake. In the first lap, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Kyle Busch made contact between each other down the back straightaway. Kyle Busch immediately showed his displeasure by getting into the back of the 47 car.
Here it comes.
Oh boy!
Sideways,
He's
stuck
in
him
the
in the
wall.
fence. He's done.
Kapow!
Didn't like that. Fought back.
Caution on lap 2.
Well, that didn't take long, Kev.
Man, oh man.
we're done here.
Ricky Stenhouse was obviously super upset by the situation and had this to say in his interview.
I guess he was mad, so parked my car in the pit box. I figured he would do something like that, so maybe Richard will hold my watch after the race.
It wouldn't be 5 minutes after the conclusion of the race that Stenhouse would follow through on his payback. The fight would cost Ricky Stenhouse Jr. $75,000 and an indefinite suspension for Ricky Stenhouse Sr., making it one of the most chaotic post-race altercations after an all-star race. And at the number 1 spot, we have... Finally at number 1, the 2024 season brought the NASCAR world not only one of the closest finishes in Xfinity Series history, but the closest finish in Cup Series history. On April 13th at Texas Motor Speedway, it was between Sam Mayer for Junior Motorsports and Ryan Sieg for RSS Racing. Many knew that it would come down to the wire. However, no one expected it to be this close.
At it at Texas, back to the start-finish line. This one is going to be tight. Who got it done? Photo finish. What a thriller! Mayer and Sieg. They are at the line.
Oh my gosh, this is one of the closest finishes I've ever seen. Sam Mayer, the one-car Carolina Carports gets the win.
Inches.
Sam Mayer edged out Sieg by a mere 2/1000ths of a second, the closest finish at a non-restrictor plate race in Xfinity Series history. Many, including myself, thought there was no chance that this margin would be topped for the rest of the season. Well, it wouldn't be a month later that Kyle Larson and Chris Buescher had the closest finish in NASCAR Cup Series history.
He's in position, he's got it. And here comes Truex. They're going to close right to the 2 leaders. Coming to the line, crash together. I believe Buescher. I think you're right, it's so close. Is ahead. Larson is coming. It's like the Kentucky Derby. Oh, it's that close. It's Larson.
Holy cow.
1/1000th of a second. That's all that separated the first and second place car at the 2024 Advent Health 400. Not only that, but Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr., who were in third and fourth place, were in the photo at the finish line, putting all 4 cars under a blanket, making it the closest finish and most shocking moment in the NASCAR 2024 season.